guys, welcome to Found Flicks. The TV series adaptation of The Mist has been very hit or miss in its first season so far, and episode 7, Over the River and Through the Woods, was definitely more of a miss. It was an essentially inconsequential episode that really only confirmed things we already know. This week they focus much more on the characters' respective dramas, sidelining The Mist for the most part. But at least Jonah finally starts remembering his past, and we see the Christianity versus nature debate finally put to rest at the church group in the trial of the Ordeal. So let's dive into episode 7 of The Mist, looking at the big moments and reveals. We pick up right after last week with Kevin's crew at the hospital, where the generators have failed letting the mist in through the front doors. I was really expecting to see some of the ensuing chaos that would happen once the mist got inside and the fates of everyone else at the hospital, but they completely ignore that event entirely. Rather, they focus on Kevin's group, who finds false sanctuary in the psych ward of the hospital. Here they meet Nash, a scruffy guy that at first seems to be helping them out, but it's pretty obvious that he's actually a former patient in the ward. All of this amounts to Nash taking Adrian, wanting to kill him as he believes he has evil inside of him. Kevin is able to save the day, beating the guy to death with a table leg. This felt more like another distraction to slow down Kevin's only story all season of finding his family. It's hard to believe that it's really this deep into the season, and that's all that they're still trying to do. When they lean on the characters rather than the mist, the real weakness of the show becomes apparent. The characters just aren't very good. They're not developing at all over the course of the season, they're just kind of reacting to various things that occur. But at least Mia is growing as a person, truly changing herself for the better and trying to rectify for her past. She's clearly been affected by visiting her mist mom last week, who wanted to help her die. Mia didn't want to die, however, because she cares about Jonah. She finds herself surprised, as she's normally had nothing to really live for, and reveals these feelings to Jonah. She also tells him what she learned about him from meeting the real Brian, and now at least Jonah knows his real name. Mia is trying to move on from a drug-addled past and has a plan to get clean in a hurry, via an intense quick detox that requires Jonah's help. She asks Jonah to tie her down and not let her out no matter what. Later, as Mia is screaming in pain from the detox, Jonah flashes back to his own experience strapped to a table, being electrocuted by scientists. These are most likely once again at the Arrowhead facility where Jonah had been experimented on. He remembers that they kept him locked up, and the woman leading the experiments would say random words to help Jonah through the pain of the experiments. And he then uses this same method on Mia to help her with her detox. The female scientist's words do all appear random, except for one she utters, mist. We still continue to assume Arrowhead unleashed the mist in the first place, and it appears even in the past they were aware of its existence, as I highly doubt mist would be one of their random words. So there must be more the people that were holding Jonah knew about the mist than we've seen so far. And hey, guess what? The worst storyline of the week is the mall group again. After a few weeks back with Lila encountering the swirly black figure in the mist, the entire plot here has been moving at a glacial pace with no forward momentum or real interesting drama going on. We know things are going to come to a head between Gus's group and Eve's group, but it's taking way too long to get there. This week offers us nothing more than slightly advancing this inevitability, with the food ration starting to run out, causing the survivors to get more anxious about being rescued. Gus is trying to maintain the peace, but he doesn't have a real plan in mind. As the situation is getting more desperate, it looks like his power is going to be overthrown by Lila's mom. She's still pissed about Alex surviving the mist encounter while her daughter did not, and believes that in some way this all started when Alex lied about being raped, and wants to actively find a solution. Geez, lady, well, at least someone is being proactive around here rather than sitting around waiting for the National Guard that isn't actually coming. With food running out, we will see the groups come to an obvious final conflict, and hopefully that outcome will be worth all of this time spent getting there. On the other hand, the most consistently compelling storyline continues to be the church group. Instead of it feeling like it's a bunch of people milling about, this group has been delving into the meatier aspects of the mist all season. The idea of Christianity versus nature being behind the mist has been interesting, forcing the characters to really search for what they believe. And this has led to some actual character growth, with the sheriff, who was a dick at first, coming to Mrs. Raven's side, or Father Romanoff struggling with how far he is willing to go to protect the concepts of Christianity. Last week he allowed Link to attack Mrs. Raven in an attempt to save her soul, which resulted in Link being killed by the mist. But the father thanks Link's bloodied corpse on the other side of the door, saying it was Link's faith in him that has given him the strength to continue being faithful. And in the face of Mrs. Raven bringing more members to her side, he comes up with a final solution to determine once and for all who is right about the mist. Mist via a trial of the Ordeal. This test of life and death involves both Raven and Romanoff walking into the mist and seeing who survives. He believes God will spare him, and she believes Mother Nature will spare her. Thusly, whoever dies, the people will know who is right and who to follow. Romanoff puts on his fanciest church robes, while Mrs. Raven opts to go stark naked, and the two walk down the aisle with haunting pipe organ music setting the tone of their journey. They both head outside into the mist, disappearing from view, with the others closing the door behind them. The two head a ways into the mist, stopping near each other at one point. Romanoff then starts to pray, but is distracted by the distant neighing of a horse. Meanwhile, Mrs. Raven has her eyes shut and never opens them the whole time. Then 4 ghost-looking horsemen break the mist, all wielding various weapons. These are most likely supposed to represent the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, a sign of the end times in Christianity. Here, I think it's to show that Romanoff's sin is tied to his religious beliefs. He sinned by letting Link beat up an old lady, and so the mist manifests a symbol from Christianity to judge him and show him the errors of his misplaced faith. One of the horsemen shoots an arrow that penetrates all the way through Romanoff's chest, and he is dragged away screaming by the horseman, literally yelling out, "Oh God!" as he vanishes into the mist. The horseman now gone, nothing else comes to judge Mrs. Raven, and only now does she open her eyes. This shows us once and for all that the mist is not tied to Christianity, but is indeed Mother Nature gone rotten, the Black Spring concept that Mrs. Raven has believed all season. Returning back to the church, she is asked about what happened. Nothing, she says, then everything. She could hear Romanoff die and said he was in so much pain, but she says out in the mist it sounds different, describing it as beautiful. She felt nature take Romanoff just as she had felt it with Link and Mikhail. She even felt nature or the mist sensing her, and it determined that she is not a threat, meaning to Mrs. Raven that she is Mother Nature's messenger. Just as I've speculated many times, the mist judges people that it encounters and generally kills them due to sins in their past that make their soul impure. Now we've seen Mother Nature judge Mrs. Raven and has determined that she is good and on the side of nature. So it looks like Mrs. Raven will be inheriting Romanoff's disciples to her side now that he's dead. I wonder if she can actually save them now that they know the truth about the mist, and avoid the mist's judgment on their souls. I am really interested to see how this story plays out from here, because unlike all the other stories we have going, I honestly don't know where this one is headed. I really wish the other groups were as consistent as the church storyline, but at least we have one that is going somewhere interesting and unexpected. Alright guys, that'll do it for my look at episode 7 of The Mist. It was a less exciting episode for sure, but as usual did at least have some highlights. What did you guys think of the episode? And where do you think the story is going with Mrs. Raven and the Mist? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks for watching Found Flicks. See you next time.